And
So
the
we're
music starts here.
pretend it's, you know what? Fill in your own music. Is it light and lively or is it a big heavy orchestra? Maybe it's
No,
Beethoven's Fifth.
you
Bah,
do
bah,
you.
bah, bah. Huh?
Tom and I are not about the rules. You do you.
You do you. Put
Tie
it.
you down with
We're,
our
you know
specific.
what? We're tired of doing all the work. You come up with some music yourselves.
I'm Melinda McKinsey.
I'm Tom Wise.
We're going to unpack some shit with you today. Tom and I always chat for just a bit before we go on. And then there are times Tom will go, let's save it for the show. Because, we get caught into, worldly events. There seems to be a lot that we're tied into. So before we get bogged down with all that, do you have some fun, sexy topics you want to?
Yeah, I want to do love questions today.
Yay.
And by the way, can I had one of these for my house at the ranch. Of course, I'm no longer living there. And
Yes.
the shower I have been issued has a permanent head, not a handheld option.
What, bro? You can't live like that.
I can't live like that. But let me just tell you, there's nothing worse than going in a shower. I'm 6'4". Oh, by the way, have I mentioned my size, my shoe size yet?
Please do. We're going to call him a solid 15.
Anyway, so many showers are built for 5'8", 5'10".
You're right.
And
yes.
the water's here. It's aggravating. For an extra 7 cents worth of pipe, you can put it up to about 6.5 feet, and everybody would be really happy. At least I would be really happy.
True.
This thing is a great invention. Got this off Amazon. I don't use it clearly because I've been issued a standard shower head, but which thankfully is up to 6.5 inches. Right.
Okay.
This is a lifesaver. Suction cup, and then the handle of the shower goes there. And it was like, oh my God, I was re-enjoying the shower all over again to have that thing up another.
You know what? Those things matter, Tom. When I moved into my apartment in New York many years ago, it was just a standard. And I bought one of those rainforest. Oh, so it changes everything. You need a good shower head.
You know what? That's a little tip of the day. Let's do that early. Get a shower head you like. Yeah. And also, I am so in love with my bed.
It's important to love your bed.
Oh God, it's just like a cocoon, and it's layers. It's a foam mattress with another foam padding, with a feather bed, and then another. It's like I'm sleeping on a kite. I'm sleeping on a wedding cake.
I love that. I have a feather top as well on my bed. When I was married, we had one of those. Oh, what are they called when you your sleep number? You can choose your sleep.
Yes.
Number. And I'll tell you what, I laughed at first because I thought that's an old person bed. I don't want to start pushing buttons and have a mechanical bed. But here's what I learned. It's a dream come true. My sleep number was 25 because I wanted to melt my body down into the mattress. His was 100. He wanted a hard, solid rock, which is another sign that we didn't really belong together. But also it was amazing. If your back was bothering you, you could change the number. I actually do recommend those, but I prefer, and you must also like that soft, cushy, feathery. Yeah. Not everybody likes those.
And I'm a huge fan of the sleeping wedge. Have we talked about this before?
We've not talked about the sleeping wedge. Let's talk.
I think this is something I could bring to home shopping.
You probably should, actually.
I mean, my back has been bad forever. It's a 5'8" world. I'm 6'4". You're always hunched over. I get bad posture, whatever. That's a whole other thing. But every day you wake up, you roll out of bed. How many people roll out of bed with a bad back? I know a lot of people that do.
Yeah, a lot of people.
A lot of people. And then I finally, my Tina, my ex, when she had the second, when she had the boy, we had 3 in diapers at the same time.
Yes.
She tried to pick everybody up to load him into the car, twins, boy, or whatever, threw her back out.
Yeah.
In a serious way. I mean, it was, surgeons and chiropractors and 6 months of going crazy. In the meantime, we bought this zero gravity chair. Now, this is 20 years ago.
Oh, the zero gravity chair.
And I'm going, this is, she was living in it, where it's kind of like an astronaut where you get your legs up above your head and it takes the stress off your back. So at least she was getting relief there. And then, of course, I tried it. I said, this is marvelous for my back and blah, 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 blah. And then that led me to buying the wedge to try it in the bed. and the wedges. I can't recommend it high enough. $20 to $40 on Amazon.
What does it do? What does the wedge do for you exactly? It just helps the way you sleep?
It gets elevates your legs, which is a great, plus it's good for your heart. Takes the stress off your heart because you're not pumping the blood as much. So you're good on your heart, and it's also great for your back. Put your back in kind of a zero gravity, astronaut. When you stick an astronaut in a capsule, they got their legs up high, back, so they can absorb the maximum amount of stress.
Okay. Well, I'm a big proponent of the inversion table. I've had mine for a very long time and I love it. It's setting up in my room and it helps me. It actually energizes me when I get on that table. It feels amazing.
See, I've owned multiple inversion tables and I don't get any relief.
Huh. And did you go all the way upside down?
I've tried a variety of it. My problem is if I tried it, I think my back has got a bad curve in it or something.
Okay.
And when I try it, I don't get I usually makes a bad back worse or makes a good bad back. Good, bad, bad.
I got
you. Back.
No, I got you.
Where's the cue card guy? I lost my last line.
Where is the cue? It's a Friday. It's the Friday before Super Bowl, everybody. Now that we're very aware that this big game is happening, I happened to watch on the news. They were talking about how can these football teams, I thought it was an interesting series. How can these football teams have this game during this time? Well, you know what? Once they broke it down, I was like, oh, I get it now, because they have been testing and paying attention from day one. And because I don't follow sports, I didn't know this. They actually wear these little sensors that show them when they get too close to people. This could be the wave of the future, Tom, where
really?
It actually, they had these, like, I usually have these name cards on, right? With the little
lanyard.
The lanyard. And it's a little lanyard. And if you get too close, it beeps to let you know, because, we're not used to having to stay far back. And they talked about consistent testing. And so they could figure out what causes you to get COVID, what doesn't. So, I'm glad that at least a small section of the world is able to learn so the rest of us can learn. So I get now how a contact sport can actually succeed. And if football players cannot get COVID, then the rest of us cannot get COVID if we follow the guidelines.
Well, they have had football players get tested and also come down with it. So they'd be suspended and they're off, for 10 days for protocols and all that. So they've been very good about it. It's not like everyone's going to get COVID. Let's go crazy. No, It was like, you can't play if you've got it.
Yeah. So I was impressed. So I hope some of that technology goes to the rest of us. I will be curious, though. Of course, they're predicting lots of people having parties and that there will be some more sickness from this because, like you had said earlier, if you aren't walking over dead bodies, people just don't think it's real for whatever reason. It's weird. It's weird to me that you have to be. I was never personally touched by polio, by what was the flesh-eating disease. I was never touched by any of those, yet I was concerned about them and I believed them. So I don't understand how COVID is different for people, how people are not believing something that's actually shutting down the entire world. It's hard for me to grasp.
It's all Trump. Trump started lying and then everybody else believed. Then that certain 32%.
Such an uneducated man have that much power. How?
It's insane.
What does that say about the masses?
It's, you know what? And they're the Republicans' problem.
They really are.
Because now they can't hurt us. If Alabama wants to go have a crazy person represent them, now even the senators saying, this Republican Party, we don't have room for kooks.
Well, it's interesting because, of course, I wrote her name down, I always forget it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the one that promotes QAnon, that attacks the Parkland shooters. She's a congresswoman. So they did take her off her committees. I don't understand why she's still a congresswoman, though. That disturbs me.
The trouble is here you go. Let me tell you why. Because
why.
the voters you're allowed to vote in Yogi Bear if you want. So you can't silence the voters. We live and die by the vote. So sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. You want to get rid of, what's her name? You vote her out.
You remember what state she's from?
Georgia.
Yeah. And Georgia's having all kinds of problems, not because a lot of people do still support her. She went on the news and made a statement today and said, oh yeah, you took me off my committees. Well, guess what? That just gives me more time to focus on what I want to do. So she's coming back and attacking people about, well, this is a good thing for me. And I just thought,
whatever. She's raised over $2 million,
Of course she has. There's plenty of crazy people. Let me tell you what's happening in Georgia. in Georgia this morning at a site where they were a healthcare center that's been around since the 50s, had been administering shots for COVID, was shut down because someone reported them and said they were giving teachers shots and not just elderly and healthcare workers. Someone came in, found out they were giving teachers the shots. So instead of saying, quit giving the teachers the shots, they shut them down completely. So they had video of all these senior citizens outside crying, upset. Is that the way to handle it, Georgia? Is that what? And also, why can't teachers get the shots? Fuck you. Let the teachers get the shots. What is that about? Georgia, you suck ass right now.
Wow. They put 2 senators in the Democratic pool.
They're getting better. I'm so proud of the work that Stacey Abrams has done and the things they're doing, but there's plenty of hardcore, and I don't even know if they're Republicans, just mean people that want to fuck shit up. If you want to turn in an agency that's been around since the 50s, taking care of people, they're not doing anything wrong. Somehow somebody that was an educator got a shot. Why would you be mad about that?
Well, how about the gal that was on the Peloton? She's teaching people. She's an educator.
Yeah. So it's upsetting because I think Georgia is in a fight for its life right now.
Yeah, I think it's good. Georgia's going to go blue. Texas is going blue. Florida's going blue, and everybody's going to be just fine. Do I have kind of a Christ-like appearance here?
I didn't want to mention it because I always notice it, but it's more prevalent today that you seem very illuminated.
Thank you.
So
my uncle was a priest, and I was named after him. Father Thomas Francis.
Well, we'll start calling you Father Thomas.
You know what? I would appreciate that.
All right.
You know what? This could be the new tagline for the show: is love one another. That's what he used to say. That was his line. Father Tom, Jimmy and I are wrestling over a bicycle. Kids, just love one another. That's not an answer. We want you to tell Jimmy to go to hell. He was a missionary in Bogota, Colombia in the 60s.
That's really out there for the 60s. How about him?
Yeah.
Well, like Michelle Obama says, when they go low, we go high. And then I read something on Instagram.
I think she was talking about football. I think she was talking about the defense.
Oh, well, see, I don't follow sports, so I didn't know that.
Okay, there you go.
But I did see a meme on Instagram that says, when they go low, I go medium because God's still working on me. And I'm like,
let's not get it all.
Relate with that. I go medium.
Let's leave a little room for improvement.
So, all right.
And that's our show today. Thanks for coming in.
And that's our show. I wanted to talk about your topics. I want to let you know real quickly. I'd like to talk about a hotel in Japan, and I want to talk about fake famous. So let's talk about your.
Didn't you have one from last week you didn't get to?
Yes, I had what radicalized you last week. What radicalized you? Right. It's a thing on Instagram, and the whole account is asking people what has changed you in your life. And I know radicalize is a heavy word because people see it as like an extreme, but what they're trying to point out is moments in your life where you're like, oh, I have to change the way I think about that. Right? What radicalized you? One of the stories I read was someone said when they were a young child and they were a lower class neighborhood, the old man next to them who was on Social Security had his water turned off because he couldn't afford to keep his water on. So their mom allowed him to use the hose for water. Well, someone turned them in because apparently there was an old law in the books that said you can't share your water. That's why people pay for water. So they cut her water off to punish her and charged her $400 to turn the water back on. So this person says that's what radicalized me because water should be free for people. You shouldn't be stuck and be punished for giving someone water.
Well, I agree with that.
I mean, that would radicalize the fuck out of me. You can't give this guy water. Come on.
That's ridiculous.
Come on.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Do you feel like that's what we're fighting these days, though? Like it's stuff that it's either right or it's not. Like, don't give me some story about why you're going to make it right because you got to pay for water because, if we all gave water away, what would we do? Well, I guess we'd all be hydrated, motherfucker.
Well, I mean, don't you think that I'd like to look at how they could come up with that rule. I mean, people usually get charged by how much water they're using, and if you choose to give someone some water, your bill's going to be elevated, but that's on you.
I know. I'll send you the link where I got it from. There's a million stories just like that.
Galen, can we get a truth fact check on that?
Galen, look it up. Let's talk about the love questions.
You want to do a random one?
Yes.
What is your philosophy regarding who should pay on the first date?
Well, I feel like you and I have talked about this.
Should we try another question?
Yeah, because we have talked about this. I feel like you should go Dutch the first time.
Uh-huh. How much time do you spend watching television?
I wish you would have asked me that a year ago. More than necessary. I just made a rule a few weeks ago that I will only watch television at night now because I have so much downtime. I found myself just randomly just flipping through things. So I bet how many hours, I'm embarrassed to tell you. You know, I'm going to have to be honest here. Probably like 5.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's bad. I'm not saying I'm at my best right now.
No, I'm probably under 2.
I wish I was. I have
but
to.
I mean, I don't, I try to busy myself with stuff during the day. I was watching a lot of news before the election.
Yeah.
And before
Normal
the
me doesn't watch this much television. Pandemic me does. And so pandemic me is trying to do better.
I put a light, it's funny. I've always in my mind wanted to do more reading, but I never set up a reading place.
Oh, yeah.
So now finally, because in my bedroom, the light was always too low to read. I go,
okay.
So that's going to stop you? So finally today I put a stick lamp with a good light in there. I put 2 books by my bed. So
what are the 2 again? I know you've told me this.
The one is Seinfeld and one is Woody Allen. I know you love the Woody Allen one. Fine. You've told everybody about that. It's funny. I was listening to a comic who I like, and he was like, "Oh, Woody Allen. Well, why are we even bothering?" Yeah.
Well, we all have our rights to our opinion. Definitely, I think as a woman, I'm going to be more sensitive about Woody Allen. If I'm a guy, I probably am not.
Well, the guy puts out a movie a year. That's prolific.
Well, then it doesn't matter if he's a pedophile. If he puts out a movie a year, you got to look at the stuff that matters.
I decided in my life that I'm not going to judge the artist. I'm going to look at the art.
Oh, I do the opposite. There are movies I won't watch because I don't.
You know what? Let me just tell you. Anybody you love, guess what? You could probably find something bad about him. Jackson Brown beat his wife on an airplane.
Yes.
Picasso cheated on his wife. Somebody beats somebody. Somebody does something. Everybody does something. James Taylor was cheating on Carly Simon. So
yes, you're right.
So what's your list?
I mean, it gets bigger.
We're down to Hugh Jackson.
I love Hugh Jackson.
Right? He's probably the only guy you could count on.
Well, and here's the thing though. Let me quantify this. It's not necessarily if they've done bad things, because I recognize the superstars in Hollywood have had to do a lot to get to there, right? I recognize that. For me personally, if there's something in particular that I find inauthentic when I watch a film, I can't get past that actor. That's what I'm talking about. Like
Mel Gibson. Can you watch Apocalypto?
What's Apocalypto?
Patrick and I were watching that the other day. It's really quite an amazing movie.
Okay, what is that?
I don't want to, you know what? I don't want
is it old?
It's 8 years.
Okay, who's in it?
Nobody they don't even speak English.
Okay.
It's amazing.
All right. No, I'll watch it. I'll definitely watch it. There's a new show that came out on Prime, Amazon Prime called Bliss. I recommend it. It's a great show. You don't even know what it's about until the end, which nice. I love those kinds of things. And I watched it without looking into it because it was Selma Hayek, who I love. Really? And Owen Wilson. It's called Bliss.
I'm writing it down.
Watch it, and you're going to think I'll be curious to talk to you about it because I kept trying to figure it out and I thought I knew. And then something happened. I was like, wait.
Is it a movie or a TV show?
Movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you always recommend things on your highbrow HBO and.
Please watch this very fancy, expensive film.
Yeah, let's watch this thing where you can't. Well, you got to subscribe, and that's Netflix and Amazon. And I hate those people that put links on Facebook to the New York Times. Like, oh, no one's got that subscription.
I know. Well, I do. I'll give you my password. I have the New York Times and the Washington Post because I like to read those stories. I know Hulu's a bummer because I really wanted you to watch if in and of itself. Can I tell you about this hotel in Japan?
Please, it's your turn.
Check this shit out. So I wrote it down because I want to tell you the name, and then I want you're going to have to go. It actually has a YouTube channel called the $1 Hotel. Now, do you want to guess why there's a hotel in Japan called the $1 Hotel and why it has a YouTube channel?
Well, I know a little something about hotels in Japan, or at least I've read about something.
Okay.
That they have hotels in which all you get is like a coffin-like bed, and they slide you into the into a spot. I would imagine that might cost you $1. I don't know.
No, that's true. That's what I think of. I know so little about Japan, and I know your girls have been. Have you been to Japan, Tom?
I'm not. I'm going though.
You're a celebrity there. You're 6'4". Are you kidding me?
And my shoe size.
Well, so check this out. I saw this on.
They'll think I'm Rodman. They'll think I'm Dennis Rodman.
They're going to want to take your picture, so just be ready for that. This $1 hotel. It's called the. I'm going to say this wrong. Ryokan Roykan Asahi Asahi. Anyway, this guy had a business idea and he thought, there's so many hotels in Japan. How do I draw attention to my hotel? I will offer one room. It's room 8 for close to $1 American dollars a night. If whoever stays in that room.
Hang on. Let me guess. Okay, now you've already tipped your hand with the YouTube. Whoever stays in the room allows we're running a 24-hour channel in that YouTube thing, and it's in every room. It's in the bathroom. It's in the bedroom. It's eyeballing the nonsense you're watching on TV.
That's close. I think this is actually a very good idea. You will be live streamed. If you rent the room. It's only $1 a night. Right. However, there's some rules. There's no sound. So if you're making a phone call, they cannot hear you. You can turn your back.
No sound that's being broadcast.
And no sound that's being broadcast. There's no live stream in the bathroom. And if you feel uncomfortable, you can turn the lights out. So there's no night vision or anything. But it's a way to just pique curiosity. And if the room's not being rented, the guy that came up with the idea, the manager, has the live feed on him in the office. So there's always live feed. So of course people are going now so that their friends can watch. And I think it's brilliant.
Well, yeah, but if you don't have the camera on in the bathroom and the camera on in the lights on, what's the guy can rent the thing for $1 and shower and shave and go in the bedroom and turn the lights off?
Well, they can, but they're giving them the option, and it seems like most people are okay with it.
I think it's creative, but I'm saying,
why would you
mind if I be negative Nelly for a minute?
Why, Father Tom? Why? I thought we're supposed to love everybody.
I'm saying, how much time do you spend in a hotel room when you go to a hotel?
Well, normally for business, I spend more time there than what I would like to, honestly, like going over work stuff and prepping for work and getting my stuff ready, so yeah.
I'm just saying, I usually go in, watch a little TV and go to bed and then get up and leave for the day. I mean, I don't think that much is happening at 2 p.m.
Well, clearly, listen, I think I'm very interesting when I'm by myself. When I traveled so much, I was going to different hotel rooms. I had this running game with myself to amuse myself. So every time I would go into a different hotel, because they all become the same, right? I would always open the door and go, honey, I'm home, because it amused me.
Of course.
And then I would do things like I would talk out loud. I would talk about the view. And then here's another thing I did.
So you're giving yourself the play-by-play, talk about the view? Well, look at that. Are you talking to a third person, or are you talking to yourself or your imaginary husband?
I'm talking, first of all, I wouldn't even imagine a husband because I don't want one.
Well, you said, honey, I'm home. Who are you talking
Honey,
to
I'm
then?
home. I just think it's funny. I just think it's funny. Honey, I'm home.
Of course, I love it.
On the showers, I would always write, when it got all steamy, I would write a positive message. So if the maid didn't clean it when the next person went in, it would say like, you're not alone. It could be good. It could be scary. Who knows? But I would put little messages. So in case
it goes under scary.
In case they didn't clean the shit, because you know those maids don't clean stuff like that. So I would amuse myself. I think I'd be more self-conscious if I knew I was being live streamed, but I feel like the people that go there are trying to be entertaining. What a great way to promote yourself. Go to Japan and rent the room and talk about your business and get people excited about what you're doing.
I like that. Now you're talking. Now we're looking at something.
Right? I mean, we're not talking, average people aren't going to rent that room because they're not equipped to know that they're being live streamed. If you're going to go there to shut the lights off and do everything in the bathroom.
Oh, they're all, I know, but hey, if I'm a businessman, I want to go to a hotel for $1. I don't feel obligated to entertain. I just wanted the room for the buck.
I know, but I think for the most part, it's been a success. So you can go to YouTube and go to $1 hotel and watch what's going on live.
Nice. Hey, look at the little thing
Hey,
you've got coffee cups behind you. What's going on there?
I do. This is from an artist.
Oh no, I told you, no promotions.
I don't know the artist. He's a British guy in his 50s, David Siglet. And this was actually my daughter's coffee mug. And I said, hey, I like that. And she's, my daughter went to an art school. So she looked at me and said, it's from an artist. I was like, okay, well, who is it?
Oh, everybody's judging.
Well, you know how these young kids are. They go to college and then they're smarter than you. So he's got he's got some creative things. So I thought that I would set that out because I want to promote the fun and all things that you do. Who needs a plain coffee mug when you can have a coffee mug that says, fuck off?
Isn't that delightful?
Isn't that so fun, Father Tom?
Let's get that mug to Paula as soon as possible, ASAP. For her to use, not as a directive.
No, we're not saying that to Paula. We just want her.
No way.
We should make mugs and send them to our followers that say something very
I'll make 3 mugs.
So
here's an interesting something or other. May I say something?
I do want to hear something.
On Facebook.
Yes.
Somebody had this, and they said, what is this for? And nobody knows what it's for.
For everybody on iTunes, Tom is holding up what appears to be a receptacle. It looks like 2 mugs melded together, possibly, or it looks like a pair of pants. It looks like a ceramic.
It's like a ceramic, like 2 cups of coffee melded together with a lid.
So is it it's a parody, right? It's a joke thing.
I don't know what it is. They haven't given us the answer.
What if it just sits on the table? It's like a cream and sugar thing.
It could be. We don't know. It had a lid on it. Anyway, sorry.
Well, now we have to follow up with it because you showed the picture.
I'll do it. But that's my prop for my Patrick and I are working on that. Matt Davis and I worked on it for my crazy tape.
Oh, yes. For the people on iTunes.
Water running through that.
Tom is pointing to his prop, his ever-changing area in his, what are we calling it? In the East Ranch.
Eastern Ranch.
Eastern Ranch. Did you watch the show? Is it Bridgerton on, I think it was on Netflix. Everybody was talking about it. It was, clearly you're distracted because I'm asking you questions and you're looking and taking things apart.
Well, I found a whole bunch of water show stuff.
Oh, I would love to listen to those. Does anybody have a CD player anymore?
Oh, you got one built into your computer.
No, I don't.
Oh, there you go.
I have an Air.
I mean, I found a whole trove of 20 water shows.
Wow. Did you listen to any of them?
Mm-mm.
Well, that's not a good sign. Look what I found. I'm not listening to this.
Well, I'll get around to it. I'm setting up my new computer,
great.
which is a DVD
I'm glad that
player.
you saved them.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad that you saved them. All right. So let's have some more love questions.
All right. One more, and then we'll do one of yours topics.
All right.
Do you ever think about being faithful to the same man for the rest of your life?
Do you ever think about it? Well, I mean, if I was in a relationship, I would be faithful.
I mean, you could say, yes, I could see myself with one person.
Yes, of course.
Because
Absolutely.
I have a specific female friend who's like, I was in a marriage. I had to get out. I wasn't happy with just being with one man.
Okay.
I wanted variety. I didn't want to be tied down.
Good for her. I mean, if you know what you want, that's great.
It's
I could
great.
easily be with a partner. I just haven't found anybody yet that works for me, unfortunately. And I also kind of accept the fact that I probably won't. I mean, I really have kind of stopped looking, honestly.
Well, now it's hard. This is a hard time to look anyway.
Is it impossible in New York, especially? Where am I going to date any? I know people in New York were trying to date, but the problem that we have here is transportation, getting somewhere. Someone could live a mile away, but it could take, an hour and a half to get there because of the way the traffic and everything is and the way the trains run. So
If someone's a mile away, couldn't you just walk?
not in this weather. We have 16 inches of snow on the ground. We have another snowstorm on Sunday and a polar vortex is coming through. So temperatures will be in the teens. I don't care who you are. I'm not walking to your house. I don't care who you are.
So there's a limitation for love.
Sure there is. Can you see yourself being faithful to the same person?
Sure.
Yeah.
But
what happens if you're in a relationship and you feel like you might stray? Would you break up with the person or would you try to fight it or would you just stray?
I have to crack up my 80% rule again.
Okay.
So if I dip, so it depends upon how long I've been in that relationship. I would not cheat. But if you're feeling like moving on, then maybe you just wrap it up.
Yeah.
Especially this age, it's one thing if you're 29 and 3 kids, you're going to hopefully try a little harder to keep it together.
Yeah.
Versus 58 and no responsibilities, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's ridiculous to try to stay with somebody you're not happy with and cheat on somebody. That'd be asinine.
I've never understood the idea of cheating. I mean, I guess I get when men are honest about it, they say, I love my wife, but I just wanted this for a little bit. I love my wife, I love my family, but I just wanted this, and not accepting the responsibility of, well, if you're committed to the person and the person says they want you to be monogamous, that's kind of the agreement, right? Like it's not really fair to keep this woman under false pretenses, right? Like I doubt she would stay if every once in a while you just wanted a little bit of that.
That's an interesting question. I think we probably talked about this in the past, but let's say there's something. I'm gonna flip this and say it's the wife. She has a thing about, I've always wanted to date a black man, something that the man, her husband, her white husband cannot provide.
Mm-hmm.
So do you go to your grave as that woman of not fulfilling that fantasy in order to protect your relationship with your husband? Or does he say, you know what? We've been married 28 years. I feel confident in our relationship. If this is something you'd like, try it.
I think it's different for everybody. I have found that men have a harder time giving their women companions the same grace that they would like to be allowed.
It's an interesting thought, though, don't you think?
Well, it absolutely is. And I think as we get older, it's more compelling because it seems more reasonable to have that conversation, right? To go, look, I still love you. I want to try to have the conversation. I think that's why people cheat is they're afraid to have the conversation because what they'll lose.
Because you've exposed yourself. You've exposed your inner thoughts.
Right.
If I had that conversation, like, I really want to have sex with a black woman. It's like, oh, really? Then every time there's an argument, well, why don't you just go find yourself a black woman that is blah, blah, blah. It's like you had that thing. So you risk having that being thrown in your face, you've uncovered a kind of a crazy desire.
Right. But I think when you're younger, you're still figuring out who you are. So you don't know, you don't have I don't think the depth to even have that conversation, quite honestly,
Right.
that you would when you're 40s, 50s, 60s. You could be more honest about it. And then if your partner's not interested, then you have to come to that agreement because
Right. Well, I told the story a couple months ago about these high-end Olympic athletes in their 30s, 40s, whatever they were. He's gorgeous, she's stunning, they're together. And then he has this thing, like, he goes to his wife and says, I got this bee in my bonnet. I want to have sex with a cheerleader. So she thinks about it for a couple of days. She goes, I'm fine, go ahead. And then with her permission, all the energy comes out of that desire and is like, oh, all right, as long as I've got permission, I don't need to act on it.
We definitely want what we think we can't have, for sure, for whatever reason. I think we want to touch about the Super Bowl though, because it is like in a couple days. Do you have any tips for anybody, or
look at me and my bare legs?
Look at you being all Florida. What's your weather today? Show off.
It's in the 50s, probably hit 60, could hit 70 this afternoon.
Oh, that's actually cold for you guys.
Yeah, it was a little chilly. It's been cool. It's been cool the last few days. I mean, like 40s cold, and maybe bring the plants in cold.
It's warm here today. It's 43. We're having a heat wave. People might be sunbathing. I don't know.
I meant to bring up the sports book. I made two bets.
Oh, yeah, you have to tell me about those bets about throwing the ball and flipping the coin.
Well, yeah, the proposition bets. I made a proposition bet that the Bucks would not score on their first possession.
Oh, okay.
It cost me $5, and if they don't, I'll win $3.25.
See, I need more thrill than that. That's why I'm betting $100 for the Bucks to win by 6.
Really?
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yep, I'm gonna do it. And here's the thing,
you'd probably win $300-400, by the way.
Yeah, and if I don't win, I'm not gonna kill myself. You know what I mean?
I'll see. I'll look up that bet and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I've got to go online. I haven't made it yet, so I was gonna do it today because I've not spent enough time on that site to figure out everything.
Right.
So I'm gonna check it out today. So I'd be curious to know. Do you think that's a crazy bet? Is that?
I love it. It would be. I would love for you to win that bet. It's not what the street says is going to happen.
Right.
But who gives a shit what the street says?
Here's what the streets say.
You got a Hondo burning in a hole in your pocket. You got to get that thing in play.
I haven't been on the streets in a while. I can't pay attention to what they have to say.
So I think that bet exists. I think that bet exists that the Bucks win, by 6 or so or whatever it is. Yeah.
It'll make it more exciting for me to watch.
Of course.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So I do want to know, how do you know how to make those other bets? Are they listed, or
they'll be under like specialty bets or, something like that.
And can you win lots of money on those? Like, or are they just?
Yeah, there was one. I mean, you can get bets plus 800. You bet 100, you can win 800. I mean, if, certain things happen, like this guy runs for 100 yards and scores 3 touchdowns,
That sounds impossible. I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
I feel like 100 I can lose without crying. I wouldn't bet any more than that because that feels crazy to me.
Uh-huh.
But the 100's been sitting there, so I don't miss it. It's been there for a while, just sitting.
Yeah, that'd be fun. It's always I always like having a little bit on the game. So I have $5 on this. I'm gonna cobble together $30 on the bets because that's how much money I've got left in my account. So I'll do 5 here and 3 here and 7 over here, and then we'll spend it all.
All right. I know that Super Bowl parties, what's it called when they make the square and they fill it out and then you place your bet?
Can I tell you, I know this is Super Bowl weekend and we're almost running out of time. But one time when I lived in Chicago, we had I worked for Revere Electric Supply, largest electrical supplies house in Chicago.
Okay.
So they had a lot of high rollers, salesmen, a boss. Long story short, these guys put together, they rented out a restaurant. This has got to be a Super Bowl 30 years ago.
Okay.
Almost probably 40 years ago, close, 35. Because I was 25, 26 years old.
Okay.
They rented out a restaurant, and every square cost $100.
Okay.
And I mean, that's back in the
That's a lot of
80s.
money.
It's a lot of money for a guy that's, I was making, $13,000 a year.
Yeah.
But I think you could split the square with one other guy.
Okay.
So for your $100, you got to go to the restaurant, food all over the place, drink all over the place. And then they paid off every single score. Are you familiar with
Oh,
squares?
yes.
You get the
Yes.
squares, and then they go 10 numbers on the top and 10 numbers
Yes.
on the bottom. And then they, here's the halftime score, the last digit of each score, 3 and 7. Boom, 3 and 7, Joe Schmo wins.
Sure.
Well, they usually just pay off on quarters. End of the first quarter, end of the second quarter, end of the third, end of the
Yes.
fourth. So 4 people get paid in that whole squares thing.
Okay.
These guys paid every single score change. Somebody scored a touchdown, 6-0 pays. Extra point, 7-0 pays. Somebody
Nice.
got a field goal, 7-3 pays. So pay. So at the end of the day, you had 16 score changes, 16 payoff. So they had $100 times 100. Would they have $10,000? Yeah.
How many people they had? Was 100 people?
Yeah, $10,000. They skim off $2,000 for the party. So you got $8,000, and you divide that by how many different score changes there were. That was fun.
Smart.
I've always wanted to do that. I was going to do that at the ranch a couple of times. And I said,
Oh, that's so smart. Well, we can still do that in the future. I love that idea. I know I have some friends that actually do high dollar stuff, and I don't know if they're having a party this year, but they have parties where people win tens of thousands of dollars.
It's fun. The food, the drinking, the $100, you had a little risk in it. And then the fact that every score change paid was exciting.
Yeah, no, that's very exciting. So what is your prediction before we sign off on this Super Bowl game?
Bucks win 31-28.
Really?
That's my heart.
Okay, I didn't think you thought they were going to win.
My head says Kansas City wins 35-17.
Oh, that hurts. All right.
Oh, by the way, I bet $5 on nobody scores 40 points.
Oh, that's kind of a good little bet.
Yeah. By the way, I listened to a betting show the other day.
Yes.
They said most negative bets mathematically will be more successful than positive bets. Like Travis Kelce runs for 100 yards. Yes or no? No is usually where you want to be if you're going to flip a coin.
Okay.
Because most folks are like you. I'm going to take $100 and throw it at some, long shot for a big payoff. They count on people betting like that for the Super Bowl, which is fun. And it's a win-win-win-win situation. But if you're being strategic about it, most no's are the ones that win.
Good to know. I know nothing about betting, and I think that's what makes it fun. I'm not overly invested in it all, so it doesn't really matter. So, do you have a tip of the day?
I gave 6 tips of the day.
You really did, but
I've been a tip machine. I'm over 15%. I'm over 20%. I'm at a 50% tips.
And so we're going to close the show by saying Tom is going through a very optimistic period in his life, and he's very open to everything. So we don't want to give any more fucking tips. We gave enough.
Tune in next Monday for a tip.
You want a tip? You show up on Monday. We'll give you a tip, and we're gonna go over it. We'll talk about the Super Bowl. We'll talk about the weekend. Do you have any exciting weekend plans, Tom?
I do not. It's a pandemic. I've invited my friend Robin. I said, hey, let's go out and get lunch or something outside, or go for a walk, or go for a bike ride. No response. I'm working on my props. I don't have a show scheduled yet. Okay. I'm excited in the fact that it looks like we've got this new manufacturer in India for the cart. Nice. I am very excited about the new Waterlight Promax that we're working on.
What am I? Promax?
Well, I think I wanted to call it. I call it something else. I like that name, Waterlight Promax. I think it's One Light XL Max. I think is what it is.
Oh.
But I like the Promax too.
Promax sounds good. XL Max sounds like it's a condom.
That could be the name. But it's, I've been selling those lights forever, right? Yeah. And they come in small size and they come in big size. Well, yes. So I talked to the factory because we've literally sold hundreds of thousands of those.
I know.
Lights. Yeah. And I talked to the and then Home Shopping says, this is kind of run. We're done, after 7 years.
Yeah, that's what they do.
That's fine. And I'm fine. Yeah. I said, fine. It's been growing. So I went back to the factory, says, can you re-engineer something? And they were like hemming and hawing. I go, here's what I want. Let me just tell you what I'm looking for is I want the ability to have, because right now the light only runs on battery power. And if you wanted to have it to plug in, it's not going to turn on. It only works battery power and it's good for up to 4 hours.
Yeah.
I said, can we make this thing so it works battery power and or plug it in?
Love it.
And sure as shit, they re-engineered it. It works both ways. And they gave me a remote control.
That I'm in.
Hang on, let me show you something.
A remote control.
And I'm not wearing
would you quit trying to show off your legs? Look at Tom bragging about living in Florida, wearing his shorts, dancing in front of the camera. Well, so I guess we need some feedback on this name. Everybody needs to let us know if they like the name. It's a What-A-Light, either a What-A-Light Promax or a What-A-Light XL something. And Tom is holding it up right now. Tell everybody what the wattage is for our iTunes listeners.
Who knows? It's big. Look at how bright that thing is.
And that's his professional opinion. Who knows? It's big. And the remote does it different levels of light.
Yes, and off.
I love it.
But look at how it's interesting. We had this conversation. I'm sorry I'm taking the show long. We had this conversation before about how a certain word could be used, but it wouldn't really be proper, when people are, especially when they're translating. So this is how the
it says basic. Does it say basic? Wait, hold it still. It's strange. Oh, strong, weak, and medium. Okay.
So weak instead of low, medium, and high. Strong, weak, and medium. That all works, but
the weak What-A-Light.
Yeah. So there you go. So get the remote control.
I love it. I will definitely be making a purchase as soon as you get it on air.
Well, I want to have you and I should have a creative meeting about other ways to use it. Anyway,
I love it. Yeah, let's do that. So, all right, no more tips. We've given you people enough. So
stop feeding off me. It's like
enjoy the Super Bowl. Bet your money if you can, gamble it all away. We're living in a pandemic, so just do what you can to enjoy yourself this weekend.
And my name's Tom Wise.
And I'm Melinda McKinsey.
And thanks for stopping by and unpacking some shit. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday with more tips, more guaranteed tips. I know how people live their lives on my tips. That's what she said. Uh-oh.
You got to be careful with that stuff.
And